Welcome to the first episode of the Real Serious Podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, along with Charles, and thank you so much for listening to our very first podcast. Charles, how are you?
Great. I'm excited. This is really,
awesome.
really fun. I'm glad we're doing this.
No, new year. We've been talking about it for a while. Glad we finally kind of got around to doing it, and it wasn't just something we kept talking about.
I feel like everyone goes through that phase, like, we should start a podcast, and it's always like, oh, yeah, like, totally, and then nothing ever happens. But it's cool that this is actually happening, you know?
Yeah, it got out of the group chat, and it made it reality.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So big episode, starting off strong. Got some awesome topics like the death of the DC universe. We're going to talk about What If, and we have very different opinions on that show. But starting off with some news, Monopoly is getting their very own movie. They saw the Barbie movie, said we could recreate that success with our Monopoly movie, and I am out on this.
You don't like it?
No, I don't. We kind of talked about it off pod, but like, what are they going to do with this?
Well, okay, so I read like a quick summary online about what it's going to be. I thought it was going to. Well, do we know if it's animated? First of all,
no. From my understanding, it's live action.
Okay, so my thought was, okay, Monopoly movie. It's going to be animated. It's going to resemble the Super Mario Bros. Movie, where it's going to kind of go through like a bunch of Easter eggs. It's going to, I don't know, just like kind of go through the game almost. But to me, after reading the summary, I think it's about like three kids who grew up in Baltic Avenue. And Baltic Avenue is like the worst spot, so I'm assuming it's going to be like the slums, like pretty poor. And then they find out the inventor of Monopoly, I guess, planted like a code or like an Easter egg or something inside the game, and now they're trying to explore to find it to, I guess, maybe like win the game in real life or get rich.
Is it Jumanji now? Like,
it sounds like Ready Player One.
Oh, see, I just don't get it. I don't know why. Like, it'd been really interesting if they made it like a bunch of rich people got together and forced regular citizens to play Monopoly, and if you won, you got, like, make it a horror movie, and if you won, you got the money, and if you lost, you died or something.
It's like Squid Game.
Yeah, why not? Make Squid Game, but make it Monopoly.
Maybe. My thought was the Monopoly man is the villain. That was my thought. Like, he's the mastermind behind everything. It's animated. People are like going through the game, and maybe the movie's about. So the pieces are what? It's like a shoe. It's like a hot dog.
Yeah.
So these are animated, and they decide to deviate from the usual board. You know, like the Monopoly man always comes out on top in this movie, and they deviate from the board to try to defeat the Monopoly man and take over and maybe like win for the little guy. You know, that's what I thought it was going to be. And hearing that it's live action doesn't really sound like Monopoly.
No, it doesn't, but I don't know. We've been surprised before. Like, they made the Tetris movie, and it was about them making Tetris, and that was actually pretty great. So we'll wait and see, but I'm kind of fully out on this one. I think they're taking the wrong lessons from Barbie, but we'll see.
Do you think it was inspired by Barbie?
I mean, I think they definitely saw a movie about a toy made $1 billion, and were like, hey, we should copy that. And instead of the lesson of people want to see original stories. But
yeah.
I don't know. All I know, if it's animated, Chris Pratt will probably be the main voice in it.
Probably.
Because he's the voice and everything. So.
Well, I think Kevin Hart's the star, right?
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. Yeah.
So it will be Jumanji.
Yeah, no, it's going to be Jumanji. We'll have The Rock in it, and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So kind of speaking of that, though, of who's in, who's out of things, Margot Robbie seems to be out of Harley Quinn. She kind of had a quote where it was basically she wants Harley Quinn to be treated as almost Batman, where it kind of goes from one great actress to the next. And while I like that quote, it's pretty obvious she's done. And
it's fine.
I'm kind of okay with that.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
she's doing much better things now.
100%.
She's making a name for herself. She's directing. So I think it's a good move. Plus, like, is Harley Quinn going to be that relevant in this new DC universe?
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Harley Quinn is in the Joker 2, the musical, coming out this year. So that'll be a choice.
That's a musical?
Oh yeah, Joker 2, the musical with Harley Quinn and the Joker, and Harley Quinn is Lady Gaga. So it's gonna be great.
What? I did
Yeah.
not hear about that.
No, it's gonna be awesome. So we'll have to wait and see what
Um,
that turns out as. But
it's a continuation of the first Joker
yeah,
with what's his name, but it's a musical now.
it's a musical, and I'm fully in on that one. That one sounds great.
I don't really know how I don't know how I feel about that. Frankly,
I
I mean I love musicals. I love them to death. I think they're a lot of fun, but it's just so different from that first movie. That first movie
my
was
yeah.
so dark. How can they make a musical out of that in the second movie?
In my mind, I imagine it as he sees the world through a musical, and then slowly over the movie, as she becomes also crazy with him, she starts to see the world as a musical. And so it's like, even though there's darkness all around their world and they're doing awful things to them, it's this upbeat musical. I think that would be a
Well,
very
put
cool
it
way to
like
do
that,
it.
then.
It kind of sounds awesome.
Yeah, that kind of sounds cool.
And I mean, they got Lady Gaga, so it's going to sound great at least.
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst. But,
Yeah, okay.
you know,
I can get behind that.
yeah. But I kind of agree with Margot. I think that Harley Quinn as a character should kind of continue on in whatever form or function it does in the new DCEU, probably a decade from now, because they're just starting it once again, which we'll get
Yeah.
to later. But it's just
What is
never
Margot
gonna work.
Robbie working on right now?
A couple things, I think. Let's see. I'll pull her up on IMDb. But I know that she's doing the new Oceans movie. They're doing an Oceans 11 prequel movie with her and Ryan Gosling, where she is the mom of the Oceans kids. So Danny Ocean.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's
And
like in
what
the
is
50s.
Ryan Gosling doing in that?
He is the dad.
Wow.
I know.
How about
Kinda
that?
great.
Good for them.
Works for me. Sign
Stick
me up.
together. Yeah.
But like, I kind of think it sounds great. So
Yeah.
that works for me, and it's clear that she's picking projects that work for her. I mean, her last three are just awesome. Babylon, Asteroid City, and Barbie, like banger after banger, those three. So
So I only saw Barbie.
I will be
three.
seated though. Well, that'll probably come in our end of year 2023 discussion, because I'm sure you won't
Probably.
have Asteroid City near the top at all. But yeah, no, I'll be seated for anything Margot does, because she's probably one of the biggest stars of the last 30 years, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So other news, Chad Stahelski wants to make the Blade movie, and that would be maybe the greatest thing of all time.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's
It'd be
kiss.
Chef's kiss.
It would
Yeah,
be
that'd
full-blown
be
chef's kiss. So
Yeah.
Chad Stahelski, for those who don't know, is the man behind the John Wick movies, which are just incredible, and I'm sure I will talk about later in our 2023 top 10 list.
Okay. So I feel like I should preface something to anyone who's listening. I am a very recent movie connoisseur,
Yes.
for lack of better words. Hunter has been. How many movies do you have ranked? You had like a spreadsheet for a while. Is it over 1,000 now?
It's pretty close to 1,000 now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I recently became an AMC Stubs member. That was a big step in my
Welcome to the club.
movie career. But yeah, I'm not as like in tune with the movies. I'm more of like a watcher and enjoyer. He's more of like a pick it apart, learn about what's coming next. Like I'm kind of just there for the ride. So I feel like that's important for me to know, because a lot of these movies I'm gonna be like, look, I haven't seen them, but I'm excited. It sounds cool, and I'll like be
Which I
able
think
to
that's
give
good,
like
though.
yeah. I mean, it's an opinion that isn't like super. I don't know what's the word here.
It's
What's the
more
word
of the
I'm looking
casual moviegoer versus the person who's more into cinema in and of itself.
Yeah.
Which I think is important to have both opinions, especially on a podcast, because you really get to see both sides of the average fan. And I think that works well.
exactly.
So, Charles, have you not seen the John Wick movies?
I haven't seen any of them. But that being said,
This is unbelievable.
well, I know it's like let's go fighting all the time. This guy's like awesome, but
So
I've
your
seen the
John Wick
TikToks.
knowledge comes from Fortnite, basically.
Kind of, yeah, probably half of it. The other half's from TikTok, where you just see guys like, I'm John Wick, and they're like parkouring over a staircase. So like that sounds cool.
Yeah. Well, they're incredible. And I will definitely talk about it in our top 10 of the year.
Are they kind of
But
like not James Bond, because that's completely different, but like the movie style? Like you have this spy or someone undercover, and they're plotting or trying to
so it's like a
take
world of
down this.
assassins.
It's a world of
So
assassins.
so John Wick in the first one is a retired assassin, and basically he got out of the assassin game. And then these gangsters kill his dog, and he wants to get revenge. But because he gets revenge, the whole assassin world sees that he's back. And so now John Wick 2 through 4 is the assassin world basically saying, you were out, now you're back. Either you work for us or you got to die. And so it's been
Okay,
three
that's
movies of
awesome.
him just
That's
avoiding
sweet.
death. He just avoids death the whole time.
Well,
And it's
okay.
awesome.
Now that reminds me, the TikToks I see are like me or John Wick when I step on my dog's tail accidentally, and it's him just like breaking through a wall.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense now. That makes a lot of sense.
No, and it's this incredible like world building underground world of assassins, which I think why that he would do so well with Blade, because especially with it being set in the MCU, are we supposed to believe there's this underground world of demons and vampires that we haven't seen? Well, why not make the guy who created an underground world of assassins do that? And I think it would work really well. So I'm fully in on if this could happen. My biggest thing is I think he's too busy to probably do it, especially because they want to get that Blade movie off the ground. Because he's got a
What's he-
lot of movies in development right now. He's got Highlander with former Superman Henry Cavill, Ghost of Tsushima,
Nice.
Black Samurai, Sandman, Rainbow Six from Rainbow Six Siege. He's making the movie of that. He's doing a lot of stuff. So if he can fit it in, sign me up. But
Yeah, dude's
I
packed.
just I don't know if it's going to be a possibility.
Dude's gonna have
We'll have
quite
to
the
wait and see.
resume after like 4 years.
I mean, only thing he's directed right now is just John Wick 1 through 4, which honestly, that's better than 99% of directors ever. So sign me up for whatever he does
Yeah,
next.
yeah, for real. He's got everything
Yeah.
going on.
No,
for
so
him.
I'm fully in on this, and I think it would be great if he could get it together. But yeah, we'll talk about the MCU probably in a few podcast episodes, but they need to make some changes there, and I think one of the biggest
Yeah.
things they can do is pick better directors. And that's not to
Yeah.
say negative towards other directors. I think that they have a very specific formula that works well. They pick up and comers that they can control. But I think it's about time they realized maybe we need to pick some more established people who can really lend their voice to this franchise, because it's a lot of sameness. But we'll talk about that soon enough.
Yeah, we'll talk. Well, I was gonna say something else, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah. The last kind of piece of news kind of goes together, and that is the Safdie brothers are no longer working together. So I said this to you earlier, and you looked at me like I was crazy because you knew who they were. So I'll tell you who they are right now.
Yeah. Just remind
Yeah.
me, because
Yeah.
for the viewers.
No, for the viewers, yes,
Yeah.
for the listeners of the pod. So the biggest two things they've done is Good Time and Uncut Gems. Those are their two kind of biggest claims to fame. Now, they've been directing for a long time, but those are kind of their two 1-2 punches. Then Benny Safdie got more into acting. So most recently, most people probably saw him as Edward Teller in Oppenheimer. That was the gentleman who wanted to look at hydrogen bombs. And
He was
I thought he was, yeah.
Son of a gun who was rude and didn't shake what's her name didn't shake his hand at the end.
Yeah, yes, she didn't shake his hand.
Yes.
He was also great in the Obi-Wan series. He was in one episode as, I forget what he was, but he was in there, and I thought he was pretty good.
What are you doing?
He was just one of the guys. I don't know, that whole
One of the
series.
boys.
Kind of
He was just
very
one of the boys.
He was one of the guys. A very
Yeah,
forgettable
he's just
series
hanging
anyway.
out, being a dude.
No, exactly. So they broke up. They mutually parted ways. Kind of weird to break up with like your brother. So we'll see how that turns out.
Well,
But
so
it's
if
a
one
shame.
of them is acting, is the other one just going to continue directing?
See, that's what I thought. I thought maybe Benny was going to shift over to just acting. But the piece of news that goes with this is the fact that The Rock is now going to make an A24 movie with Benny Safdie.
That's
and
awesome.
This
That's
is
sweet.
amazing. I'm fully on this. So A24, huge studio for indies and smaller movies. They're probably the face of that indie world. Think of things like Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Iron Claw, many, many other movies. And so The Rock is doing a wrestling movie in that world. And I am fully in on this.
That's gonna be awesome.
I am of the camp that The Rock is a good actor, but he
I'm with you.
chooses not to be.
Well, okay. I don't think he gets the opportunity to show his like true acting. He's the same character in every movie.
Yeah.
The exact same character, same kind of acting in every movie.
There's a great thing on Twitter where it's like, this is my favorite Rock movie, and it's him in the jungle with like one of those jungle shirts on, and that's a picture that could be in like 4 different movies of his.
Exactly. He does the same thing.
Yeah. He comes in, talks about Terramana Tequila, beats up a couple guys, and then just leaves. And that's kind of The Rock. And I think he's way more than that. And I think that this is a great choice for him. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have enough money. So he's made all the money in the world, so he might as well make some artistic projects. And I think this is going to be great. Like, I think it'd be awesome if in 2 years we're talking about how The Rock won his first Oscar, and that'd be
nuts.
Incredible. I would just be so excited if he did that. It's going to be a wrestling movie. He's going to be just
Is he the lead?
I cannot wait. He is the lead. It's called The Smashing Machine. It's going to be his first non-blockbuster film since Pain and Gain, which is another great movie that just like no one saw for some reason. He's playing MMA and UFC champion Mark Kerr. And so he's very excited, and he's like, for me, box office doesn't matter for this role. He's like, I want to just showcase who I am as an actor.
Show people what I can do. He just wants to,
he wants to
shine. Wants it.
And I think this is a great role for him because it's something he can tap into from his own personal experience being a wrestler.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. But it's just exciting.
Speaking of money, did you ever see that clip of it was him and Kevin Hart? And the interviewer, the interviewer's like, yeah, like I heard that you bought your mom a house. That's incredible. And then Kevin Hart's like, it's about time. And then everyone just like starts laughing. And Kevin Hart's like, I mean, $1 billion later. It's about freaking time.
I love the one where it's him and Kevin Hart also, and the interviewer is like, so Dwayne, if you were Kevin for a day, what would you do? He's like, kill myself.
What did Kevin say to that?
He was just like, what are you talking? What? Why?
God, they're awesome.
They're so awesome. But actually, Chuck, if you didn't know, this is actually not the first time The Rock was supposed to do a dramatic role. He actually auditioned for The Bear, and we have an exclusive clip of that right now. FX internal audition tapes. The Rock auditioning for the role of Carmi on The Bear. Take 1. Hello, Mr. Rock. Thank you so much for coming out today. We really appreciate you taking the time. So basically, this role is you in a kitchen, and we just want that drama. We want to see what you can really do as a character actor. So, Rock, why don't you put yourself in the mindset? You are 30-something, you're in a kitchen in Chicago, and life is beating you down, but you must keep cooking. So, let's just do a little improv. Go from there.
If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
All right, Mr. Rock, that was fine. I think one of the big issues is we don't really get lost in the role. All right, are you understanding what this role really takes?
Of course, jabronis. The Rock is aware.
Okay, Mr. Rock, I don't think this is gonna work out. I appreciate your time, but maybe we have something for you in the future. End of internal audition tape. All right, thank you for leaking that clip to us. We really appreciate it, especially with the podcast just starting, that FX was able to leak that clip for us. So now let's get into our topics for the day. Chuck, do you want to start with why the DCEU died, or let's talk about What If, Season 2?
I mean, I've got so much.
We can also talk about the Obama list.
You're going to have to remind me with that one. I saw that
we'll
list
do that last.
And I had,
we'll save that for last.
Of these 3 topics, DCEU, What If, and Obama, I have by far the most to say about What If.
All right, let's do What If Season 2 then.
Far and away. All
right, let's do What If Season 2 first then.
Okay.
All right,
with that.
Explain to me why you like it, and I'll tell you why I don't.
Okay, well, I got to pull up all the episodes.
I got the episodes right here. All right, then I'll explain why I don't like it.
You explain. Let me pull it up.
What If, as a concept, is incredible. I think it would work so well, especially in the medium of you can do animation. You could do whatever you want. It's going to be really just amazing. My biggest issue with it is they decided to basically make it a linear story, which is maybe one of the worst choices I've ever seen. What If should be standalone stories that do not connect any single way. I don't have an issue with them making Captain Carter the focus and making it her kind of story throughout, but then just make a Captain Carter show. Because I would much rather spend than 9 episodes with her instead of 10 minutes here, 4 minutes here, and then the last 3 are all about her. If you're going to do What If, do What If. If you're going to do Captain Carter, do Captain Carter. You're doing them both a disservice by putting them together. That is my biggest issue. And he falls silent because he knows I'm correct.
You're not okay.
Explain
What
that.
if? Okay. Problem is, I'm really bad at articulating this stuff. Like
That's
I
a
just
great
like
thing
when
for
I
a
think something
podcast.
is good. Yeah, right. Well, I'm gonna get better, hopefully.
Yeah.
Look, I watched What If as it released over Christmas time, and I think that contributed to why I enjoyed it so much. You know, like vibes were great. Was feeling good over Christmas break, and I was just like excited every day to watch a 30-minute little short of Marvel. You know, look, I thought they were all fun. Objectively, were the stories as good as the first season? I mean, probably not. Like you compare Nebula joins the Nova Corps to zombies in the first one, and like there's just a clear winner in that comparison.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think it's interesting just seeing like what can happen in Marvel Universe, like how movies could have gone. Like Nebula joined the Nova Corps, I thought was like good. I thought the next one, Peter Quill, was like fine. Happy Hogan Saving Christmas, fine. It's after those I started getting in like really into it. Like Iron Man landing on Sakaar, I thought that was sweet. Like you see how he can bring his
But see, that's what I
expertise.
want out of What If. Like
Okay, so I guess yeah. I guess I was going through each episode and kind of unpacking. To talk about your Captain Carter point, I mean, yeah, you can make a Captain Carter show, but that's not what happened. Like technically, this is What If. You know, like what if Captain Carter did this and that led to this and that led to this. Like to me, it's not like you could have a standalone like what if this happened and then in a completely different time and different planet storyline this happened. Like you could do that, and that's kind of like what you were talking about. But like technically, this is still all what if. What if Captain Carter became the first Avenger? Okay, that caused all these other what ifs. Like, what if this happened? What if this happened? And it's all just like a continuation of that first what if. And I think that's really interesting.
See, yeah, like I don't disagree. Like I think that's an interesting concept. I just think that the name What If and the idea is wasted. Like I really like season 2, episode 5 with Captain Carter and Black Widow. I think that's one of my favorite episodes of the season, except for the last 30 seconds where she gets pulled into a different dimension. Like I think that what worked well of that is that it carried over from season 1. I think you could just do that. Give her an episode a season that kind of continues her story, and we see over 3 seasons or 4 seasons, whatever, the Captain Carter story. And we could put all those episodes together and we see a full-blown story. I think where it's ruined is you have an episode like the 1602 Avengers. And I think that concept is now wasted because it's on the backdrop of we have this Captain Carter story. And it's not a bad Captain Carter story. It's more of that it's wasted in the fact that I'd love to see the 1602 Avengers fight a 1602 villain. I just think that's the issue.
I didn't have that issue with that episode. My issue is that Captain Rogers, you know, he's made out to be in the MCU as like the most, you know, dignified, just American man, honest, determined, proud. Like he's just like the greatest character. You know, there aren't any faults.
Yeah.
And they make him in that episode as a liar, or they kind of make him out to be like he's been this guy hiding the entire time. This I don't know what you call it, rift? Yeah, rift. This rift keeps coming and pulling people out of the, you know, it's not killing people, but it's causing a lot of damage. Rogers has to know it's him because he acknowledges it at the end when he's glowing green, when he's like the chosen one.
Yeah.
If he was Captain Rogers, he would have gone back immediately when he found out people were getting hurt. You know?
Yeah, no, 100%.
That's my issue with that episode. I don't really like Captain Carter. I thought was fine. Her being involved wasn't a hindrance in any way to that episode. It was really just Captain Rogers not really being consistent with his character.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So what did you think of the new hero then?
The new hero
Of Kahori.
Loved her. Thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I thought that episode was great.
I thought that was awesome.
Like, for my opinion, I think that episode, the first episode with Nebula, Iron Man, and the Captain Carter solo episode are the 4 best. I think the ones that are, those I think are the ones that work well for me.
Kahori far and away is number 1 to me. I agree with that. Iron Man, I agree with that. Wasn't the biggest fan of the Captain Carter Hydra Stomper. I don't know. I just wasn't really into that. I really liked the Hela one. I thought that was interesting. Little character
Yeah,
arc
I thought
for
that was
Hela.
fun.
Also,
Yeah.
what is that Hela called? Like the glowing white Hela? Is there a certain comic book variant of that Hela? I looked it up.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I couldn't find anything of that, but I liked it. I liked that design.
Yeah, I thought it was
Also,
great.
yeah, my big issue was didn't love the finale. I think it felt like kids playing with action figures and making like the ultimate paddle versus like an actual resolution to the story. And
yeah,
I don't know.
You might be honest.
I'm actually more excited for season 3 because I think that season 3 can be done really well if they focus on what if stories and seems like Captain Carter stories, because now that I understand what the show is, I'll take it for what it is. That's just kind of my 2 cents on it. Like I think that the ending worked well with kind of Captain Carter looking out at the multiverse and maybe becoming a multiversal Avenger, but I just would like to see more what if stories. Like the fact they haven't done what if the other side blipped is crazy.
Whoa.
Like, how have they not done that yet? That is the most obvious.
That's so much
do
to
a
pack
what if
into
story
one episode.
But is it really like you just have the other half blip and then it's a 20-30 minutes of them doing Avengers Endgame, but with the other half? I think that would be really, or it could be even if the other half blipped, they failed, and then they go on that story. Like they couldn't have solved it, and that would be really interesting too.
That is, yeah, that'd be a good story. That last episode, coming out of it, I texted you. I was like, that was awesome. Like, all gas, no brakes. That was sweet. And looking back at it, it's cool seeing all them fight with all these, multiversal weapons. Like, Captain Carter got Hela's crown. She got, I think, Mjolnir. She got the Infinity Stones. Like, she was just a juggernaut. And then Kahori was like Robin to her Batman. It was pretty sick. I thinking back on it though, it was kind of just like let's throw everything we have, make a really cool fight scene, and then that's that. Yeah. Didn't really make sense that Doctor Strange also turned.
I thought he resolved
Rachel.
that. It was kind of his whole thing. He resolved, and he just didn't resolve it.
I thought that was his thing at the end of season 1. In season 1 during that episode, that was his thing. Like, he was imprisoned because he didn't solve it, and the Watcher's talking to him like, "Hey man, you messed up." And Doctor Strange is like, "I wish I could redo it all." So that was a little weird. The saving grace, I'd say, for that episode was seeing Loki's tree.
Yes.
I think that's why I texted you. I was like, "Oh my god, Loki's back!" Even though the show literally just ended, but yeah, I don't know.
I think it's clear that there needs to be a more direction for the show. Like, give me the other half blipped. Give me what if Spider-Man was recruited by Steve Rogers instead of Iron Man. Like, there's so many you could do, and I just feel like they're wasting what if could be. Like, what about an episode where it's like, what if what if Iron Man never got saved after Infinity War, and him and Gamora actually died on the way back to Earth? Like, that would be really cool. So it's like, how would Endgame happen without Iron Man? And so
Iron Man and Nebula?
Yeah, when they were when Captain Marvel found them in Endgame. Like, what if that didn't happen? What if Thor had gone for the head? Like, how would things be different?
If Thor had gone for the head, I feel like that'd be a pretty short episode. Thanos
True, but then
dies.
would that have brought together different people? Would that have, it's like let's see where this goes. There's ways to do it, and I think that they're taking the easy way out instead of trying something new. But
Well, I feel like they are trying something new. I feel like the easy way out is taking all those blockbuster, like their biggest movies, biggest, turning points and scenes, and then making what ifs out of that. They're trying to get creative with it and kind of dig deeper into like really nitty gritty plot points in the movies. I feel like that's them not taking the easy way out, trying to challenge themselves. But then again, like, know your consumer. We want all those big blockbuster scenes.
Yeah,
So,
like I just think it's a poor version of what it could be.
yeah.
But we'll wait. Season 3 on the way.
When is it coming?
Yay, probably next year, some point, or this year. Now that we're in 2024.
Okay.
So that was
Yeah,
What
well.
If. I give it like a 5.5. I thought it was fine.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot. Looked forward to it every morning. I'd wake up, grab my coffee, and go watch.
I did like that. It
was awesome.
Yeah, no, that was actually great. All right, so now Obama or Death of DCEU?
We can do Death of DCEU.
All right, so the DCEU is dead after, let's see, after like 15 movies, it's gone.
Oof.
From 2013 to 2023, it had quite a decade run.
It's actually crazy how much success the MCU had in that exact same time frame.
Oh yeah,
That's crazy that the
no,
DC
it's actually like,
you could
what are they
not
doing?
replicate that.
So kind of listing off some of the movies, Man of Steel, still, in my opinion, incredible. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice was number 2 for some reason. Then they picked Suicide Squad as number 3, Wonder Woman, and then the one that basically killed them, Justice League. Are there any of these movies that you truly love? Because I have 2 that I love.
If I'm being frank, I haven't seen a lot of these. If I'm being frank, I haven't seen a lot of these. These came out around the same time as Marvel, and I went the Marvel route, and I never went back to kind of see what was up. I saw Justice League, and honestly, this is good to note. I didn't see any Marvel movies before Avengers. I probably saw Avengers when it came out in 2012. I probably saw it on FX movies, on cable TV in 2014 or 15. I saw it, and I was like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. This is so cool, so fun. And that's kind of what got me interested in Marvel. I was like, every time the Avengers are on, I want to watch it. This is like my movie. Saw Justice League probably a couple years after that. When did it release? You said 2013? Or no, probably after that.
2017 was Justice League.
I probably saw Justice League in 2018 or 19, and I was just like, this is not... I went into it thinking like, oh, sweet, another Avengers, and it just wasn't anything.
Yeah.
And so I was never really motivated to see any of those other movies.
So for me, I was DC day one. I was at Man of Steel opening night. I was at all of them opening night. I think the biggest issue with Justice League, besides the behind-the-scenes stuff, which we can talk about, was the fact that there were only 4 movies before it, and you killed Superman in the second one. Man of Steel happens, very divisive, but I'm of the opinion it's great. I think it's a way for Superman to learn that he is all-powerful, but he needs to make the smarter choices moving forward. And Batman v Superman is kind of the next step of that. But the fact that you then kill Superman in that one and he can't continue to learn before Justice League is very dumb. Suicide Squad, the fact that Suicide Squad made more than Justice League is a huge kind of statement. And then Wonder Woman was great. But then Justice League kind of faltered. And I think the biggest issue with Justice League is the fact that you needed to know so much beforehand. And the team was really fractured going into it before they even started. You go into it and Batman is grieving the lost Superman. They need to put a team together. And it's probably one of the worst villains of all time in Steppenwolf.
Yeah, it was not good.
Like, I don't know what they were thinking.
It was not good.
But then afterwards, a year later, Aquaman comes out and makes $1 billion. And so it's like, all right, are we back on track? And instead of using that as a launching platform to do some more interesting stuff, they release 2 movies in the next basically 2 years. And I think that was a huge thing that struggled with. It was like, all right, Aquaman did really well. Let's release Shazam. And it's like, all right, Shazam is great. We're back on track. And then they released Birds of Prey, which I'm of the minority opinion where I think that's also a very good movie. But people didn't really love that. It didn't make a lot of money. And then when COVID hit, they were basically stopped again. And so then Wonder Woman 84 came out. That was panned and is just a real bad movie. But then in the background of all this, the Snyder cut was leaking over everyone's mind. And they finally released that, and it was better. Like, the Snyder cut was just better. And then they just couldn't put anything together. The fact that we didn't get a Batman movie, the fact we didn't get Superman 2, the fact that, like, it took, after 2017 Justice League, it took basically 6 years to get a Flash movie. Like, it was doomed from the jump. It was doomed from the jump. And it's a shame to see, but I think the biggest thing to come out of this was that casting was well done. It just missed from a creative standpoint. So we'll hope that James Gunn can kind of put something together and make the DC work, because I'm of the opinion that DC has better heroes overall. I'm Team Spider-Man, Team Daredevil, Team Captain America for life, but I think it's so much more interesting to watch heroes that are as powerful as Superman and Green Lantern and Wonder Woman and Aquaman. I think those are the heroes that I would love to see in this new era, because I think they just work better. But I'm more of a DC fanboy though, compared to you, Chuckles.
Yeah, I'm more of a. I mean, that's just what I grew up on. Like,
no, 100%.
I wasn't huge on superheroes until I saw, like I said, the Avengers, and after that, it was on. Like, I was just a huge MCU. I like Batman. I've liked all. I mean, the Dark Knight trilogy is just like goated. Batman's great. I was a really big Aquaman fan growing up. Like, I played Injustice, and I thought he was the coolest ever. But I've just never really been super into the movies or doing anything beyond like video games and Batman movies.
So from June 2017 from November 2017 to February 2020, they released 4 movies. Then from October 2022 to December 2023, they released 5 movies. So they were just churning them out by the end.
They're pumping them out, yeah.
And the only one that we liked, that you liked more than I did, was Blue Beetle.
Yeah, baby.
I liked Black Adam. I sneaky actually also liked Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
That was the newest one that came out?
Yeah, that came out just before Christmas. Right, I liked it. Didn't love it. I think it's pretty equivalent with the first Aquaman, which I also think is good, not great. But yeah, no, for me, this is just, it's a shame the DC universe was wasted for a decade. It could have been something great, especially with the actors they had. But I don't know. So I'm still
Blue Beetle's just
the best.
Blue Beetle's just one and done. Like, that's all. That's all she wrote for him.
According to James Gunn, Blue Beetle will return, especially because I think there was no true connection to the greater DCEU. And so now this, whatever this is being called, the DCU, we'll see. But I think Blue Beetle will probably return in some form or fashion. I think it'd be a waste to have a good character kind of be wasted, but also it's like, are we starting our universe now with Blue Beetle? Like what are we doing? It's DC. Have a Superman movie, have a Batman movie, have Wonder Woman, bring them together in a trinity, and then go from there. Make a new Flash, make Green Lantern. Please make Green Lantern.
Yeah, Green Lantern's awesome.
Make Green Arrow. Like I don't know what we're doing.
Now,
here.
What would your thoughts be of a Green Arrow in the DC? Let's say it's called the DCU for just to simplify it. What would your thoughts be if they took the same actor from the Arrow show?
I like him a lot. I just think it'd be confusing. I think they need a full clean slate. Like, I'm very excited about this new Superman movie. I think that David Corn Sweat is going to be great. I think that they have an awesome cast around him. I think the fact that it's going to be finally Lex Luthor, Superman, you have the Daily Planet, you have Lois Lane. I think that everything is coming together to be really strong. And I like the idea that this Superman is now joining a world of heroes. That there already is this established kind of heroes there, but there's no true order. There's no one they look up to. Because I think you can do it really well where it's a DC universe with heroes, but they're more just random here and there's. There's no true symbol of hope. And I think that's what Superman needs to become. And I think that's the biggest thing that they struggled with in the old DC universe was that Superman should be the symbol of hope, of what is better and what can kind of all heroes should look up to. And the closest they ever got to it was Batman kind of explaining that he messed up. And it never truly kind of came around to the fact that Superman should be what everyone wants to become. And it's not from the powerful standpoint, but it's from the humanity standpoint. And they never did it. And it really was just a waste of what I think could have been great. And so I hope that they understand that going into this new Superman Legacy movie, which we'll see next year. So
That was poetic. That was
thanks, man.
That was profound.
Superman is mine. Like, Superman's my guy. Like, of all the heroes.
That's the sideshow fig you want to get.
Yeah, no, like, Superman is my one. Like, I love Spider-Man and Daredevil, but Superman is my one. Like,
He's your one.
Always been.
So, back to the Green Arrow thing, just really quick. You said it'd be confusing. I feel like it's the same as bringing Daredevil into the MCU. You know,
but that's because the show works. And the show is now
the
connected.
Arrow show works?
I think it does work, but that Arrow show also had its own Flash, also had its own
Bring
other heroes.
Bring Grant Gustin.
Yeah, but then that
He
also had its own
rocks.
Lex Luthor that wasn't this Lex Luthor now they hired. It's got all of this lore built in that I don't think can carry over, which is the bad part. And also they had their own Superman, so you can't bring it in.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Of the Superman and Lois show, which is a good show.
Girl.
Yeah, so I think that it just gets too confusing.
But Grant
Now,
Gustin was so good.
I agree. I'm of the opinion that they need to get some awesome. They need to just start churning out some good stuff. Like, it should be 2 a year, and with HBO Max, they could do a movie in May, a movie in November, a show in July, and just start going. And then after, let's say you do 4 or 5 years of that, or 3 years of that, Justice League. Bring them together, have them fight something. And then that goes from there, and it's like this.
Yeah.
Now we have the universe.
Yeah.
It's such a simple formula that Marvel did well, and the fact they didn't copy it is crazy.
The fact that Marvel's not continuing it.
Yeah, which we'll get into that in a different pod.
They're going.
Yeah, we'll do a whole pod on how to fix the MCU in our opinions, but it's crazy. But we'll see. But yeah, anything from the DCEU that you wanted to finish on?
I mean, just that I'm, like I said, never been a DC guy. I adore the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and the fact that James Gunn is taking over the DCU makes me really, really interested. Like, I think James Gunn is going to be cohesive. They're going to be like well done movies. They're going to follow that superhero. What's the word? Construct? Not construct.
Yeah.
Formula, like you said.
Formula, whatever it is.
They're going to follow it, or he's going to follow it well. He's going to create some very endearing characters. Or not create, but I guess develop some really great characters. So I'm really excited. I loved Blue Beetle. I know James Gunn didn't do that one. But I didn't know anything about him, and going into it, I thought it was great. So very high hopes.
Yeah, I think it can be done
Very,
really
very
well.
high hopes.
I hope they do. Like, I hope that it works, because I think it's better, especially in the world we're in now, if you can have both studios pushing themselves to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that keeps the product really high quality, and it should be what it is. Right now, I think it's
keeps them
clear
accountable.
Yeah, exactly. But we got to talk about Obama.
I'm looking at this list.
Okay. For
I've
those who
seen three
don't
of them.
know, Barack Obama does this thing where every single year he releases his favorite movies of the year. He also does it with like albums and things like
Yeah, he
that.
does
But
it
for us, we're talking about the
songs, too.
movies. I think he's lying.
Why would he lie?
I'm of the opinion that he picks things that make him seem like a cinephile, where he needed to just throw one thing in there that isn't. Like, I believe. Okay, so I'll read you the list right now: The Holdovers, Blackberry, Oppenheimer, American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Monster, Past Lives, Air, Polite Society, 1001. All of those are great movies. But I find it hard to believe that that is his list in reality.
He's just
As
a
we're about to do
sophisticated
our
guy.
lists. Yes, as we're about to do our lists, I think it's crazy he can't toss in just one dumb movie he liked.
Throw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in there, please.
Yeah, where is Mission Impossible? Just, there's no way that he sat there and was like, yes, this is my list, without putting it together in a way that made him want to think he's more like cinephile. He does this every year, and I think it's the biggest lie. I think it is the
Sneaky.
the
I
biggest
feel
lie.
like he saw the Super Mario movie and just loved it. He
Yeah.
loved it, and he felt guilty that he loved it so much.
I hope he has a Letterboxd account that's like secret, and it's just like, he walked out of something and was like, "This is disgusting. 1 star.
Yeah,
I hate this."
yeah.
My fellow Americans, I did not like any of these movies.
That was good.
Like thank you. No, that was good. I just think it's bull. I think that he's lying, and I think he does it on purpose to like.
I
seem
love the
more
Holdovers
sophisticated.
pick. Huge fan
No,
of that. Number one is
none of
bold,
these are
and
bad movies.
I'm here
They're
for
all
it.
great movies. I just think that he's lying. Like, I think that he needed to put something else in there that is more normal, where it's like I've
Like
seen
he's
other
not a
things.
robot, just to prove he's not a robot.
Yeah,
Why
just
didn't
to
he
be like
put Barbie in it? I'm surprised he didn't put Barbie in it.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. Like, I think it. Like, why couldn't he have been like, you know what? I also really liked Creed 3. Like, what is the negative of saying, like, I don't know. I just think it's a lie. He's like, you know what? I was actually a huge fan of Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh, that'd be crazy if he had
My
Dungeons
fellow
and
Americans, I did not like Dungeons and Dragons. Like,
That'd
just,
be nuts. If he had it in
This-
his top 10.
it bugs
He's got
me
like the
every year
popcorn
I
bucket
see-
too. Like he takes a picture
Yeah.
in his room and there's just the popcorn bucket, or in his office.
Yeah. Like, I just don't. Wow, he didn't even like Wonka, this guy.
Yeah, he's got no taste.
No.
No
I
taste.
see it every year, and it annoys me. But speaking of top 10s, it is time for the 2023
I'm
top 10 movies of our year.
waiting for it.
So, Chuck, how do
Okay,
you want to do this? Should we do? Should we
I say we go through the number of films that we watched.
Okay.
You know, give the
Yes.
sample size. I saw 24 films this year from 2023.
that released in
I saw-
2023.
Yeah, released in 2023. I saw more,
Okay.
but I saw 24 that were released this year.
Okay. I saw 62 films that were released this year.
Okay.
Okay, I think we should save some honorable mentions for the end.
I feel like, yeah, okay. Cool.
Because
Yeah.
I have some that I really like that are not in my top 10. And also, I don't know how you're doing this, but my top 10 is my top 10 favorites. Because I have some
Okay.
in like the 15, 16 range that I know are better than what I have in the top
Yeah, they're
10.
just better movies.
But I just don't like them as much. And that is, for me, like, I did it based on what I liked the most.
Yeah, so the way honestly, that's how I ranked them. But then
Yeah.
reflecting on them and looking through, it's pretty honestly on the nose and the way I ranked them. So like my
Okay.
5s and 4.5s and 4, 3, like it's very accurate just the way like I ranked them, in both ways. But yeah, I ranked them by favorites, and that's kind of how I rank movies like out of 5 stars as well on Letterboxd. Like I go by a couple things. One, just like how much I enjoyed the movie. If I sat there and I just loved every minute of it, it's probably going to get a 4 or better.
Yeah.
I also look at it objectively as like a movie, just like, you know, was the cinematography good? I'm a huge fan of a score. Like a really good score on a movie
I'm with
is huge for me. Like Godzilla -1, hubba hubba. That had me
Hubba.
hubba hubba. That had me going in the theaters. But
Sweaty palm alert when I watched that.
yeah, that was menacing. But yeah, usually kind of just objectively as a movie is probably like 40% weight, and then just how much I enjoyed it, like 60% weight.
All right, I'm in on that.
Yeah.
Then do you want to give honorable mentions before or after our top 10?
Uh,
I think we should do after. Because then we don't say what they are, and then we kind of
yeah,
still
okay.
a mystery.
We can do after. We can do
All
after.
right. So starting with number 10, what did you have on 10 of the year?
I had Wonka.
Nice.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I really liked Wonka.
I loved it. I said before, I'm a sucker for musicals. Greatest Showman, La La Land, I love them. And I feel like Wonka had a very similar feel to the same as those movies, or to those movies. Timothy Chalamet, I thought he did a great job. I thought the music was great. It was very colorful, lively, fun. I saw it with you and Jenna, and neither of you guys shared the same sentiment. I was like, wow, that was awesome. I really loved that. And you guys were like, it was fine.
I liked it.
Well, Jenna hated it.
I liked it quite a bit. Yeah.
Jenna really didn't like it. But yeah, I thought definitely top 10. I loved it a lot.
My number 10 is Anyone But You. I really like this movie. Objectively, I know it's not a great movie, but it just scratches the itch in my brain of the rom-com in the best way. And there's another rom-com that came out this year that I'll talk about later, but Anyone But You was really, really well done, from the idea that it takes this old Shakespeare and makes it into a modern rom-com. Worked really well. I think Glenn Powell might be the next biggest movie star of a generation. The amount of charisma that man has, just sign me up to whatever.
Yeah, he just sweats it out.
Oh, it's everywhere, leaking from the screen, and it was funny and just cute in the best kind of way. And it's hard to turn it down. I think the comedy was great, especially in a year with another great rom-com. This one just worked better for me, and I mean, loved it. It was fun, cute,
nice, man,
and sexy.
Good for
in
you.
The best ways.
That's cool.
Thank you.
I didn't see it.
No.
I really wanted to. I was gonna watch it this week, but I didn't get over to the theater. So
that's okay. Hey,
it's on me.
Happens.
It's on me.
If only you had AMC A-list.
If only. Yeah.
If only. What'd you have at number 9 though?
I had Air. So I'm with Obama on that one. I think we both had Air on Air 9.
You and the president are the exact same.
We're the exact same pretty much. But I really like these kinds of movies, like historical movies that tell a real thing that happened, especially when it comes to business. Like Social Network. Not that this is the same as Social Network. I think Social Network was better, but I think it kind of followed the same rubric in a way. Talks about a company, what they did to, I guess, succeed and grow a ton. This was a particularly cool story because Michael Jordan, the GOAT.
The GOAT.
And yeah.
That is our opinion as a podcast. It is Michael Jordan is the GOAT.
It is Michael Jordan. Yeah. I'm glad we agree on that. But
we are anti-LeBron James.
Okay, I'm not anti-LeBron James, but
we're anti-LeBron James for the GOAT position.
I'm very pro LeBron James at the number 2 spot in that rank.
Yeah. He's the best number 2 that there ever was, besides Scottie Pippen, who is officially the best number 2.
Yeah. Anyway, Air, good movie. I enjoyed all of it. Love those movies, as I said. So it's my number 9.
That's a great number 9. I have at my number 9 my biggest surprise of the year, and that is The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes.
Good
which
movie.
Shocked me. I thought
Why?
this was going to be a pile of garbage.
Why?
Because I really
the trailers were sweet.
Anyway, you can cut a good trailer to a lot of things. I really like the first Hunger Games, and I think the second one is even better, and third and fourth are kind of eh.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect much from this movie. And then Tom Blythe gave an incredible performance as Cornelius Snow. I think the story worked really well. I think that Rachel Zegler is becoming a movie star right in front of our eyes.
She did awesome.
She was so good.
She was so good.
And I think it just all worked really well. There was never a moment where I was like, this isn't working. And it just worked really well. Yes, a lot of movies better than it this year, but for me, biggest surprise of the year. I just really, really liked it. I just think it worked really well. And I would watch another one of these of kind of his rise to power and maybe to see that first quarter quell.
It'd be
Like,
crazy.
why not?
It'd be great to see Haymitch's.
Yes, it'd be great to see Haymitch's. Like, I don't know why you can't do just every few years, give us a new one, and give us the ones of the people we saw in the 75th quarter quell, because that'd be kind of cool to see, like, now
That'd
we
be
know
really
their backstories. Because I think the first quarter quell was Mags, who we already know. So,
See a young
that'd be
Max,
great.
that'd be sweet.
So, yeah, I was in on that.
Another thing about that movie, it's so. You know what? I'm just gonna save it. It's on my top 10.
That's coming up.
That's a little spoiler. It's on my top 10.
Little tease, they call that
tease.
in the biz.
Who knows where it is? But
I don't.
you know it's above 9. Also, one more thing about Air that I remembered right as I finished. As I said, I love those movies that talk about something that happened in history. It doesn't have to be sports necessarily. I saw Dumb Money this year. I don't think you did.
No, that was the one I missed.
I was devastated by how bad that movie was. It just wasn't like I saw the trailers and I was like, whoa. Well, first I thought, wow, they pumped this out really fast. Like this just happened 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But it was just slow. Like maybe there wasn't enough story to tell. Maybe it was too soon after. I'm not a big fan of Pete Davidson, so maybe him being in it was.
Was there any part with like big Reddit mods in the movie?
Yeah. They went
Oh,
through
really?
Reddit. Yeah, they went through Reddit a couple times. I mean, it was just like funny.
My karma for Reddits, please.
Yeah, this guy wore like I forget his name, but he wore like a cat
fedora?
shirt. No, he wore like a cat shirt and a bandana, I think. No, bandana. That was like the guy that did all this GameStop stuff, though.
A tip of the fedora to you, sir.
That'd be cool too. That'd be cool. But yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't a big fan, so I was kind of disappointed. Air was great. That was a little disappointing. Anyway, my number 8.
Number 8.
Godzilla -1.
Oh, so good. So good.
So good.
Yeah.
So I think I gave this 4 stars. Yeah, I gave this 4 stars. You gave it 4.5.
I did.
So another way I grade movies is if I'm sitting in the theater, and I think that this is like kind of a stupid way to grade movies, but if I think to myself like, I'm sitting in a theater watching a movie right now, and I like can't pay attention completely to the movie, then that's automatically like shoot, I couldn't keep my attention. Like I realized like I am in this theater watching a movie, and this is probably like 2/3 of the way in. It kind of got slow. I got kind of tired. So that's why I didn't give it 4.5 or better. But like the score was, I already talked about it, but it was so good. It was so good. And it was just like for the budget that they had, I mean, good grief. Like that was just a good movie.
Yeah. No, I'll give you another little tease. I'll talk about that movie in a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, a little tease. That might be coming up soon.
Yeah.
But at my number 8, I had Barbie.
Okay.
Barbie was awesome. Now, this movie was high up on my list as it came out. And it started to just kind of slowly trickle down as the year went on. But I really love this movie. I thought it'd be good just from the people involved, but it really kind of blew my expectations out of the water. I think Greta Gerwig made an amazing script, and Margot Robbie was incredible. I think it's weird to think that there's a world we almost lived in where Amy Schumer was Barbie, and I'm glad we don't live in that world. That would have been tough. Ryan Gosling, though, as Ken,
He's sublime.
He's literally me, like
He's sublime.
just like me for real, and it's, I mean, amazing. Right
as always.
Oh, exactly. Love that movie. And I think it works so well. I think, honestly, my biggest complaint with it was someone who I don't think has done a great movie in a while, and that was Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell? Why it's Pharrell?
Pharrell. What?
Pharrell Williams. Will Ferrell, not Pharrell Williams.
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, I think, was fine. I don't think he has had a great movie in a while. I think he was boosted in this movie by the people around him.
Yeah.
I think this is also a great Kate McKinnon role, who she has struggled to have a good movie in a while. But no, Barbie was great. I have very, very good things to say about it overall, and I think it was just awesome. But please don't make a Barbie 2. Like, leave it where it is. Sometimes movies just need to be standalone. And I think it's
I feel
great
like
to have it
Margot
standalone.
Robbie wouldn't want to do another one, just like from the way like the interviews I've seen with her, like her sentiment towards this movie, I think she kind of understands that this movie was very powerful, and I don't think
Yeah.
that she'd want to jeopardize what this first movie is by making a second one.
I agree.
I
I think, yeah. I did hear there was maybe talks of like a Ken movie, but no. Just leave it where it is.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's beautiful the way it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is my number 8 of 2023.
Nice.
What you got for
Now
7?
you're not gonna guess this, Hunter.
Oh,
But
no.
my number 7 is actually Barbie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sublime.
Sublime. Yeah, I agree with everything. The one thing that you didn't touch on, and this is like the only thing I'll add on, the message at the end of the movie, like I almost cried. Like, it was great. It was very touching. And I just that's kind of all I have to say about it. It was just a
we covered
really
it,
touching
but-
message. Maybe like very proud.
I think it's incredible from what they did from the source material to make it into what it was is really cool and just a really well done movie and script overall.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was quick. That was a quick number 7 there for you.
Well, I mean, you
No, I
touched on a
covered
lot of
it,
I'm not going
yeah.
to repeat everything.
No, well, I got one coming up that you already touched on, but at number 7, one we haven't talked about, The Iron Claw. The Iron Claw.
Nice pick. I didn't see it, but I bet that's a good pick.
Well, let me tell you about it. Heartbreaking. This movie broke me for a bit. And I'm someone who doesn't even have brothers. And I was like just crying watching this. Zac
cried?
Efron. Yeah, dude, this movie.
Whoa. Oh, was this the Zac
wrestling
Efron?
one. Yes, wrestling
Okay.
movie.
Yeah.
So Zac Efron, incredible in this. Like, I think he should be nominated. I doubt he'll win just with the year this is, but I do think he should be nominated for his effort in this role and how well he just transforms into this character. Also, he's super jacked in this, like insanely jacked, clearly on some roids. But the fact that this story is so heartbreaking yet works so well, I think is a testament to this movie. Because I think a lot of times when we watch sad movies, they're sad for the sake of being sad, and they miss the telling the story part. Where this does tell the story, and it ends on a hopeful note, which works really well. And I also found out after they cut one of the brothers out of the movie, who also died because they thought it was too sad, and it became unbelievable how sad it was, which is just insane to think about.
Jeez.
But no, Zac Efron was incredible. Jeremy Allen White was incredible. Harris Dickerson was incredible for the part he was in, and just an all-around amazing film that might take a lot for me to watch again just because of how heartbreaking it is, but to watch a performance, I think I might have to just to see it again. But yeah, that is my number 7.
That was a heck of a recap. That was.
Thank you. Makes
good.
you want to see it now, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. I don't want to
No,
cry.
because it's real sad.
Yeah. Well, should we be going through like how we rated these out of stars?
If you want to.
Okay.
Everything in my top 10 is 4 or higher.
I mean, same. Wonka, I gave a 4. Air 4. Godzilla -1 4. Barbie 4. And my number 6 coming in hot.
Oh.
The Hunger Games. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yes.
Yeah. I give that 4.5. Again, echo everything you said. It was great. What's the woman's name that is in charge of the games? What's that actress's name?
Oh, yeah. Viola Davis.
Yeah, she's just incredible. Like what other movie did I watch her? Oh, Air. Yeah.
Yeah,
Air.
she was in there.
I watched her in Air, and I was thinking to myself, like, when we have our first episode, I want to mention that, like, this woman is just, like, this actress is, like, she commands, like a presence or something on screen.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like, it's fun to watch. But, yeah, I thought this movie was great. What's the Snow's name in real life?
Tom Blythe.
Tom Blythe. It's crazy seeing how he is in real life compared to what he was in the movie. Like, it's crazy in interviews with him and Rachel Zegler. Like, their chemistry is just so fun to watch, and they're like very good friends, and just seeing that compared to what it was in the movie is just makes it that much better. to me. But yeah, echo everything you said. Didn't really expect the ending. I really like the line at the end where he's like something about a mystery, like the only or like it eats at you or something. Do you remember the quote?
Yeah, it was something about like how a mystery is the thing that like eats you alive. That's why he doesn't like mysteries.
Yes. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
very cool. But yeah, besides that, I can't really add that much. Like I like these movies because you've already rated them, and I agree with everything you say. So like that's I'll
No,
leave it
but
at
one
that. I don't want
one thing I did think about for this, and it maybe was my biggest audible groan and eye roll of the year, was when they're together, and she picks like a plant, and she's like, "Oh, this is Katniss, but it's not ready yet." I maybe had the biggest eye roll of all time. I was like, this movie is cooking, it's cooking, it's cooking, and I was like, are you kidding me that this is a line in this movie?
I like that. It's fine.
Ugh.
It's like 2 seconds long, and it's just a nice little. Here
You
you
might as
go.
well just wink at the camera and be like, you know that hero coming later? She's on her way. It's like,
I
what
think
are we
it's
doing
fine.
here?
It's one thing if they made it like a huge thing about Katniss and like,
I guess
oh,
so.
it's a symbol of hope in our district, and like it always brings flourishment. It's one thing if they did that, but like, oh yeah, this is the Katniss plant's not ready yet. It's not right. Yeah, it's fine.
Well,
So you're wrong,
agreed.
but
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's fine. Well, my number 6 is Godzilla -1.
tough.
I
Tough.
adore this movie. The atomic breath scene may be one of the best scenes of the year.
Wait, which one was that? Was that when the bomb gets
Where-
dropped on Godzilla, or when he just like lets it rip?
When he lets it rip.
Oh, that was
Yeah. Also, the score, like you mentioned, incredible. But one thing I think is really important is when the score in the final scene cuts out. When he's doing the final bombing run and you don't know where his plane is, and then you see Godzilla charging and then it goes silent, and then finally you hear the propeller of the plane. Works so well. Also, best hair of the year, maybe, on the one doctor in the movie.
Oh my god, yes.
His hair was...
That guy was a silver fox.
Yes, just incredible hair.
He was sweet.
No, overall, just an outstanding film. And I'm someone who likes the American Godzilla, like the Godzilla Kong movies. This Godzilla is on a completely different level. Just
I mean, it just felt
shockingly
authentic.
good. Yes, it felt real. It's just incredible. But you already kind of talked about everything else. And the story of the film, I think, works really well, especially this idea of, like, the government is the one that makes us go to war, not the people. And the people can be so much more than what the government has them as.
I think my favorite scenes were the fishing vessel scenes with that fishing group.
It was like
such a
Dunkirk.
Yeah, it
They
was
just
like a
did
fun little-
Dunkirk.
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
I think
It was like,
so-
oh, who's going to save us? The people. And it's like, yes, this is exactly what we need. But that is my number 6 of the year. But now, we're in the top 5.
Dude, I looked at this top 5 a couple minutes ago, and I'm ready.
I think
I'm really
we're going to
excited.
have 3 of the same top 5.
I know for a fact that we have 3 of the same top 5.
So what's your number 5?
Holdovers.
Oh, not on my list.
4.5. I gave it 4.5. I watched it over winter break. I think it was like 2 weeks ago I watched it. And I saw trailers in theaters, and it kind of gave like a warm, old-fashioned, like 70s, 80s type feel. No, 90s, because it takes place in the 90s, right? No.
No, it's earlier. It's 70s.
Yeah, it gives that 70s, 80s feeling. I saw it in theaters, the trailer, and I was like, wow, this looks really good. Like, I'd like to see it. And then I realized it was a Christmas movie, and I was like, okay, well, it's probably not going to be in theaters for super long, or like I'm not going to see a Christmas movie in theaters. I saw it a couple weeks ago, though, and I just, like, I saw a Letterboxd review, and it was like, this movie is a glass of whiskey on a cold, snowy day inside by the fire. And I
Yeah.
was like, I cannot think of a better explanation for this movie than that. Like, it's not your cookie cutter Christmas movie because, I mean, for starters, it's rated R. There's a lot of cursing, and there's a lot of kind of like dark moments about the main characters. But like through these dark moments, you have this really cranky old man, old professor, teacher. Everyone hates him, and it's very clear at the beginning of the movie. Like he's just, I think they call him a Nazi in the movie. Like he's just not a.
He was the saddest man of all time.
Oh, he was so depressing. He
His
like
body stinks because he's got a sickness that makes him
smells
smell
like
bad.
fish.
He's got
Sweaty hands.
hyperhidrosis. He's got a lazy eye. Nobody likes him.
He's flunked out of college.
Which wasn't even his fault.
Wasn't his fault, yeah.
Is the saddest man alive.
Yeah, and they set him up to be like this horrible, horrible person, and then you have this other kid, the 17-year-old, who has discipline problems and kind of lashes out pretty often, and these two are the holdovers. Like they have to, and then you have this third woman who just lost her son in war. So these are the three holdovers over winter break, and it's just really. Like throughout the movie, they make you like this professor, this teacher more and more, and this kid, you just see that he's a kid, like he doesn't know any better, and the dude just wants to be with his family, and it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of arguing, but at the end you can tell it's like all out of love. And I also saw another Letterboxd review. It's like there's a handshake in this movie that tops a lot of on-screen hugs when it comes to just like.
Yeah.
Showing compassion and care for another person. Like they shake their hand or shake each other's hand at the end of the movie. And like I don't think either of them are crying, but it makes you want to cry. So
I'll be honest, I just liked the holdovers.
Yeah, I know you did.
I gave it
and
3.5. Like I think objectively it's a good movie, but it just isn't for me. I think a lot of it works, but I also think a lot of it doesn't work. And he's too sad. He's just too sad of a man. Like I feel bad for him the whole time, and it's just I like the movie. I think Paul Giamatti is wonderful in that role. It's just not for me.
You ever watch a movie with someone like you've seen the movie they haven't, and you're kind of like looking at them like this, like,
yeah,
what do you think? You know, that was me during that movie when you were watching it. I was like, oh boy, I can't wait to hear what he thinks, and you're like, yeah, it was fine. It was a good movie. I was like, God.
Sorry, man.
Whatever.
But my number 5, and what I noticed is that all of my top 5 have 5-star reviews. So for my number 5, I have John Wick Chapter 4.
Just throwing these 5 stars around, huh?
Oh, I'm generous with the 5s. John Wick Chapter 4, maybe one of the best action movies ever. I know you haven't seen it because lame, but It is outstanding. There are 2 main scenes that I think of right away in this movie. Him going up the stairs at the end, where he has to go up all 220-some flights or steps of stairs, and then gets knocked all the way back down. Also, the way the over-the-head shot of the apartment where he walks through looks like a video game in the best possible way. I don't know how they choreographed that. That one shot is just outstanding. This movie works so well. Keanu is fully John Wick, and I think what works well is you understand him as a character, but you don't need to know that much more. You know he has a mission, something in mind, and it just has to move forward. He is the unstoppable force, and the immovable object is this world of assassins that wants to take him down, yet nobody seemingly can. And the end of the movie is kind of vague if he's dead or not. I'm of the opinion he's not. But if he is, what a way for John Wick to go out. Just amazing. And I easily think one of the best action movies of the last decade. Outstanding film in the best possible way. But that is my number 5.
Cool. I feel like we should probably put a disclaimer that there are spoilers in this podcast.
Listen,
I feel like I watched the movie just now.
If you didn't see a movie from March and it's now January of the next year, I think spoilers
some of these
are due.
movies released pretty recently.
True. But also, you should probably see John Wick because it came out almost a year ago. But what do you have for number 4?
Ooh, this is probably my hottest take on my top 10.
Oh.
And it is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Very good movie.
I love this movie. I wanted to put it in my top 3, but then I saw my top 3 and I was like, I can't justify putting this above those. I gave it 4.5 stars. And I liked I gave it 4.5. I saw your review is 4. I loved the artwork for starters, like the animation style that they used.
Yes.
I thought it was so cool, so fun to watch. That's kind of what drew me into it in the first place. Like seeing the trailer, I was like, oh, it's just another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. But then seeing the animation, I was like, whoa, this is actually really interesting, really cool to watch. So that's one thing I liked about it. I like that they're like kind of kids, like they're
Yes,
like almost
finally.
teenagers, but they're like
Exactly.
actually just kids. Like
The
in
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are teenagers.
hmm
They, it's
yeah,
such a simple concept they finally
in
did.
the in the show they seem kind of like 18-year-olds, like the Nickelodeon show. That's the one that I've seen. I know you've seen the old one that you always sing the song to.
I do.
Um,
The 2003
um,
one is the goat.
but yeah, the Nickelodeon show, they seem like 18-year-olds, like kind of adults. In the movie, they're literally just like grown turtles that are just beasts. And they're not teenagers at all. So like this was really cool because they were young. And yeah, I think you told me this, and I didn't really realize it until after you said this. It seems to be kind of following or attempting to follow the same movie structure as Into the Spider-Verse. Like you start out with
Yeah.
this movie, like an introduction movie, and then at the end you kind of introduce it for another movie, and that's kind of when the main villain's going to come. Um, which is Shredder, obviously.
Oh, I am so excited
Yeah.
to see how they do Shredder. I hope Shredder is terrifying.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, I
Like,
just thought fight scenes were really cool. All those other mutant animals were really cool as well. I just really like this movie.
yeah, no, I agree. I think that it's an amazing movie. Didn't make my top 10. I think it is, let's see, 14 on the year for me. But I really, really like TMNT. Yeah, no, it works really well. My number 4, which I'm sure you'll talk about again soon, is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Easily the best ending of a trilogy in the MCU, I would say. Of all the trilogies, maybe No Way Home. But I would
No,
argue
it's
that,
better than No Way Home. It's better than No Way. Yeah,
yeah,
it's another thing about it's definitely the best trilogy. Best
yeah,
trilogy
I
ending.
think the Guardians trilogy is incredible. We talked about it earlier, but James Gunn doing Superman, like this gives me so much hope for what that can be. I watched it twice in theaters. I think that the fact that they have gotten more emotional depth out of Rocket Raccoon than some movies could ever wish to get out of their main human protagonist is amazing.
Nuts.
And I also want to say that in a year where Bradley Cooper is going for an Oscar, this is his better performance. Him as Rocket Raccoon is maybe the best thing he's done. And I know Mastero is his big Oscar push, but this is a better performance in all ways. I love it. I think Chris Pratt is incredible. I think that what works really well is they had this big question mark of how do you take this team that's been together and then obviously the wrench of Gamora. And I think that what they do with it is so strong. And I think that it works really well because they didn't take the easy way out. It would have been very easy to be like, oh, she gets bonked in the head again and remembers everything or something. They chose to not do that. And I think the ending of her character and Peter Quill of I bet we were fun is just maybe one of the best lines in the MCU. Just an amazing film overall. What a way to send off this team where it kind of leaves it open to they could return, but also I don't know if I'd want any of them besides Star-Lord to come back. We know Star-Lord's coming back because the end thinks that Star-Lord will return, but I'm happy with knowing that the Guardians are out there protecting the universe. Yet Star-Lord will come back, which I'm sure he'll be an Avenger or something, but
Guardians are definitely coming back.
Yeah, but see, I don't know if I'd want them to. Like,
I do. Are you kidding me? King Groot.
I think it's more. I'm worried anyone else takes the reins of James Gunn's characters. Who knows? But
Yeah,
what
that's
a
good
way
point.
to end that trilogy. And that is my number 4 of the year. 5 stars for me, all day.
Speaking of Bradley Cooper, did you see that podcast? And they're like, would you rather win an Oscar this year or have the Eagles win the Super Bowl this year? And he's like,
What
the
he said.
Eagles. He's like, Eagles, 100%.
That man is out for an Oscar more than anyone I've ever seen. Like, it's crazy. But good for him. Trying for it. All right. Top 3. The podium.
top 3. And like I said, I wanted to put TMNT in the top 3, but I simply could not justify it with the absolute powerhouses running up the top of my list.
Here we go.
Number 3, Across the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Number 3. And I would honestly say that's a pretty considerable jump from TMNT to Across the Spider-Verse. Granted, Across the Spider-Verse is the second movie. It has more development already, so like that's probably a big part.
It's also a clear part 1.
Yeah. But like you're probably gonna describe Across the Spider-Verse better than I ever would be able to, because you're a Spider-Man guy. I just thought, I think I gave it 4.5 as well. My only problem was it was a pretty long movie to end it on that kind of like cliffhanger. Like it was, what was it, 2.5 hours? And I was like, okay, when's it going to end? How's it going to end? There's no end in sight right now. And then it ended, I was like, okay, I'm not the biggest fan of that. This next movie, I will be there the first or second night because of that. But, so maybe they're geniuses because of it. But, I just thought, I don't even want to describe it. You're going to describe it so much better.
It's an incredible film. And
yeah. Is that your number 2 or 1? Actually, don't tell me that.
Spoilers. What are we doing here?
Yeah. I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want
right.
any redundancy, and I know that you're going to want to describe it for longer. And I'll probably, at the end of whatever you say, just say, like, yeah, I agree with everything. So,
my number 3 is not Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. It is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah.
As you will come to learn in this podcast, I am maybe the biggest Mission Impossible fan of all time. I am a Tom Cruise fanboy through and through. And Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is just a testament to the ability of true filmmaking. From the motorcycle jump to driving through the streets of Rome, especially in a year where 2 films drove through the streets of Rome and we got 2 very different outcomes of Fast X and Mission Impossible. This film works so well on so many levels. And the thing that I think works best about it is it's Tom Cruise taking on AI, but it's really Tom Cruise taking on the way filmmaking is done. It's just all of this analogy for how he believes in filmmaking, where Ethan Hunt as a character believes that things should be done by hand, done with a team, done by humans, and done in a way where mistakes could be made, but it should be done in a way where humans are involved, where the AI predicts choices, it makes its decisions, it does things that technology does, and that's fundamentally disagrees with Ethan Hunt. And that's just the way Tom Cruise sees making movies. He doesn't want to do things with green screen, doesn't want to do things the easy way out, doesn't want to do things with CGI. He really jumped off that cliff. He really does solo free jumps and does the Halo jumps. He does all of this stuff because he believes that's the right way to do and make movies in a time where that's the opposite of the case. And I think this works so well as a movie. Another part 1. We got 2 big part 1s this year, and this was one of them. And this is another big cliffhanger ending of what's going to happen next. But I will be there day 1 to see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. Ethan Hunt as a character is maybe one of the best characters in fiction, in my opinion. I just love these movies, and I can't get enough of them. So yeah, that is my number 3 on the year. 5 stars all the way.
All right. Cool.
You didn't see it, did you?
Didn't see it. Nope.
Unbelievable.
I did not see it. But you also have, what is it, Mission Impossible Fallout? Like, that's one of your favorite movies ever, right?
Mission Impossible Fallout is top 4 all time for me.
Yeah, I watched that movie and I was like, okay, it's fine. It's a good movie. So I think this would be...
You're telling me you watched Henry Cavill cock his arms
that
like
was
they were guns?
Finding out that wasn't scripted. He just like did this once because he had done too many takes.
Yes.
And then they were like, that was awesome. Keep doing that. It looks like you're reloading. Like that. Yeah. That's really...
But that also ties back to our conversation about the DC universe, where the reason he had to do that fake mustache in Justice League was because of Mission Impossible Fallout. So there we go. A full circle moment for us.
Full circle. Look at us.
Look at who would have thought?
Awesome. Not me. All right, number 2 is Oppenheimer.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's not my number 1.
Whoa.
It'd be crazy if I just didn't have Oppenheimer on my list.
I was getting nervous.
What if I just didn't have Oppenheimer? Like it was number like 14 or something.
Please tell.
So Oppenheimer, you know how at the beginning I said 40% weight is just purely cinema and 60% how much I enjoyed it.
Yep.
This is where I max out that cinema, 40%.
Okay.
Like objectively speaking, this movie is just it's so good. Like
Yes.
the writing, the acting, the cinematography, the score, everything about it is just so good. It's not my number one, and I'm not going to tell you why just yet, but it's not the kind of movie that I could watch over and over again. One, because it's like 3 hours long, and two, it's a pretty, like all things considered, it's a pretty depressing movie.
Yes, the ending especially.
Yeah, it's pretty depressing, and it's not the kind of movie I would want to watch over and over again. But like watching it, I was fully captivated. I watched it over break, and it's just, it's just insane, really. Cillian Murphy, I had never seen anything with him except for I think he was in the Dark Batman Begins.
Oh, he was in all of them.
He was in all of them? Yeah. So like, oh, that's right, he was. So I had only seen him in that, and I hadn't even realized it was him. But he was so good. I really liked his relationship with Einstein. I thought that was a really interesting part of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, 5 stars easily. Number 2.
I won't touch on it because it comes up pretty soon. But my number 2.
Oh, I wonder what this one is then.
Is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Ah.
I have nothing but good things to say about this movie. I agree for a sentiment that the ending is quite a cliffhanger, but I think it works so well, especially with wondering like who Miles could be in a different universe if things changed, how he could become the Prowler. I think another thing that is awesome is from the first film of anyone can wear the mask to the second film being it's how you wear the mask that matters. That is such an important thing, especially with the idea of Spider-Man 2099 basically being like, you are not Spider-Man. You are a mistake. But that's not true because Spider-Man is more of an idea than a person. And I think that is why he wears a mask and is why Spider-Man covers his face, is because Spider-Man can be anybody. And it's more so about the way you go about being a hero. And Miles is that hero. Especially compared to the villain, which is Spider-Man 2099, of kind of not being that hero. I'm convinced the twist will be that Spider-Man 2099 was not meant to be a Spider-Man and he is a mistake. We'll have to wait and see.
I'm pretty sure that is it. Because he has to inject himself with serum to basically unlock his powers.
But there's other Spider-Men that have to do that. Okay. But I think that's how he also was in the comics too. Was he had?
Yeah, I looked up all of his powers, and I think that his shtick was that he was trying to, I guess, maybe become spider-like, like unlock those powers, and he experimented on himself with the serum, and then he became Spider-Man 2099. So he has alternate powers from like a usual Peter Parker Spider-Man. I forget what the powers are. But that's why
He's got the fangs and the claws and
you never see him shooting his own webs.
Yeah, but I just think everything worked really well. I think Haley Steinfeld as Gwen Stacy, the relationship with her and her father is just amazing. The way that her world changes with colors based on the relationship that they have was done so well.
Oh, that's
great.
What
I think the visual style of animation can do so much differently than live action, and it works so well for this movie because when in that medium, you might as well use it to its fullest potential, and they do in both these movies, and they do especially in this one. And so I think it is done extremely well. I can't say enough good things about it. I cannot wait for part 2. It's going to be so good. The Spot is an incredible villain. Just so excited to see what happens next.
See, it's a good thing I didn't summarize it because I agree with that, and I just spared like 2 minutes of. Yeah. So, okay, my number 1. This is the one movie that I think I can describe a little better.
All
this
right.
is the one movie that I think I can describe better.
Oh, I know what this is then.
It's Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yep.
This is my favorite MCU movie. One of my, honestly, probably top 5 movies of all time. I went into this theater, so I love Guardians. They weren't really my favorite going into the movie. Frankly, I was pretty worried going into the movie because of all the other stuff the MCU had come out with in the past like year and a half or 2 years. But literally everything about this movie was just the greatest. I loved every single moment of it. I mean, like you said, Rocket Raccoon. James Gunn is just brilliant because he made a talking raccoon. He made a talking raccoon. What are the words I'm looking for? I cried 3 times because of a talking raccoon, and every single time it was different feelings.
Yeah.
So like one time I cried because I was really sad because I was just like heartbroken from what Rocket Raccoon went through with his friends when he was getting tested on. One time I cried because Rocket Raccoon was like fighting back against the High Evolutionary. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What a great villain.
Oh my god, he was so good. He was so good. I can talk about that too. But I cried because he like hit his boots, came down to the floor, and finally called himself, acknowledged Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
I cried just because of like from sheer joy when he said that. I was like, oh my god, he said it. He did the thing. They made that raccoon so lovable, so endearing for such I guess I don't know what the word is, but he has a personality, like a very kind of off-putting personality in the movies.
Yeah.
You know? And he made him really lovable and showed all of his flaws, his weaknesses, his vulnerabilities. Made us all love him. Drax the Destroyer. His name is literally Drax the Destroyer, and they made him a father in that movie and showed who he really is, who he was meant to be, that this Destroyer was just a facade because of things he had gone through in his past, and he was finally, welcomed in a community, encouraged to be a father, and he didn't have to fight anymore. Nebula, you see what she's gone through in the first movies, and you see what she becomes. I love that we saw Gamora, too, who wasn't used to having that good relationship with Nebula, and Nebula's not as, you can see Gamora is very averse, disdainful towards Nebula, but Nebula's like, I have nothing against you. This is my family now. You can join us or you can leave, And Gamora doesn't understand, we're sisters, but Nebula's like, look, it shows her development and that she's trying to create a community as well. Groot's Groot. Not much to talk about with Groot.
Yeah.
High Evolutionary. They finally made a villain that you just cannot relate to, cannot understand. He was so just absolute with his thinking, so radical, willing to do anything to prove that he's right. He was killing animals, killing the people that he created just to get after this subject, and he was just brutal and just did not show mercy, and everyone hated him. You couldn't relate to him at all. And he was the first villain where I feel you just every fiber of your being hates him,
Yeah, and I think what's so crazy too is you compare the High Evolutionary to the villain in the Marvels, and they both have similar connections with our characters, where the villain in the Marvels has a connection with Carol Danvers because she destroyed her planet. And the fact that you have such different opinions of those two villains, quality-wise, is insane. Or it shows that one was almost wasted where one does so much better. And I agree, he was incredible.
Well, one of them, the Marvel's villain, she wasn't inherently bad. She just wanted her planet back, and she was getting, granted, she was getting the resources for her planet in a very, unfriendly way.
Yeah.
But, she wasn't inherently a bad person. She was just very against Carol Danvers because Carol Danvers kind of just...
But just so forgettable.
Yeah, she is. And this High Evolutionary, there was nothing good about him. And when they started destroying him in that final scene, it's just I shed a tear.
Yeah.
It was great.
Also, I gotta say the one thing I didn't like about this movie.
If you say what I think you're gonna say,
I don't think I am. In the final scenes, where all of the animals are coming across,
Oh yeah, okay, cool, yeah.
and the monkey attacks that woman. It's
That
like, what
was
are
a
we
little,
doing?
yeah.
I was
That
like,
was
what?
a little like,
I was like, this is a happy moment, and it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, so I just watched that again last week, and I was thinking about that part when it was coming up, and I was like, okay, maybe I watched it wrong. Maybe like there was
Yeah,
a
I thought I
reason why.
forgot it, or like remember, I like forgot the point of it.
And I was like, I want to see it again. Maybe I just like watched it wrong. And then yeah, literally, it's a happy moment, and this monkey jumps across and starts tearing the face off of this poor woman. And
Yeah, very weird.
very inconsistent. Didn't like that, but I thought you were gonna mention when Groot says, "I love you guys."
No, I think that worked well, and I think that's also him still speaking. I think he says in that moment, "I am Groot," but it's us as the audience understanding that we now can hear him.
We're finally in the family. Yeah. Another thing, in the first movies, Gamora meets Groot as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Groot dies. They plant a new Groot, and this Groot is a son. Like, this isn't the original Groot. Has his own memories, has his own personality, and Gamora is like a father to this Groot, or not father, a mother. She's a woman. Gamora is like a mother to this Groot. So when Gamora passes away, gets killed, Groot is left motherless, and so when he meets this Gamora and starts spending time with her, you can kind of see that he like just misses his mom. And it's really sad. And then finally at the end of the movie, when Gamora's kind of warmed up to them, and Groot's like, "I am Groot," and Gamora starts to acknowledge him and like answer him, and then she pauses and realizes, and it just shows Groot, and he's like holding his hands all timid. Like, this dude's a tank, and he's enormous and jacked and can pretty much stop almost anyone in that movie. But he's just like talking to his mom, and it's so sweet.
No, it's so good. That movie gives me hope for the future of the MCU, but in reality, it gives me more hope for the future of the DC universe because James Gunn is gone and is overseeing all that.
I agree.
But that was your number one of the year.
That was my number one.
My number one is Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
Give this all of the Oscars. I think supporting actor, Robert Downey Jr., lead, Cillian Murphy, supporting actress, Emily Blunt. Like, what an amazing film. And I think what's done really well that Christopher Nolan does, we talked about it earlier with Godzilla, but the music in this is so good. The can you feel the music? That score kicking in is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of going back and forth, especially going throughout his life and understanding who he is as a character, I think works really well. And I think the time jump does work really well. I think the people, I know you mentioned it when we talked about it, but that it was a little confusing at first what points in time you were. But I do think that they did really well with the color difference, with changing the saturation. And I think what is really well done is it's not really looking at Oppenheimer as this figure in American history and world history as a negative. It's more looking at him as the scientist he was and how the people around him turned it into a negative, where yes, he built this bomb, but it was for the achievement of something greater, and then right afterwards he tried to stop it. And I think that in moments like that, people make choices where it is you have to do something for the greater good. And in that moment he did, but I think he understood that afterwards there might come a time where there is no such thing as greater good. I think that's what the ending kind of describes, is that his worry of, did we end the world? Yes, we did. Of, we're sitting here, and in any moment, everything could change. One push of a button can change the course of humanity. And I think that's such an interesting thing to leave an audience with, of this question of, you sit with for basically 3 hours, you're sitting with Oppenheimer and you're learning from him and you're understanding who he is as a character. And his biggest thing at the end is that he thinks he ended the world. He thinks he made this mistake. And of all the positives that came out of it, the question mark of, was it too much and did he go the wrong direction, is just an amazing way to handle this movie. And it works so well. And nothing but positive things to say about it. I think it might be Christopher Nolan's best movie. Like, I'm of the opinion that Interstellar is incredible. I think that, but I think from a technical standpoint, from what he did, this movie rocks. And also, quick shout out, the fact that he put together a cast like this was outstanding. Like, I was looking through the cast earlier, and like David Krumholtz, the guy from the Santa Claus movies, who was like the elf friend, he's so good in this. Like Dane DeHaan is awesome in this. But I want to give a big shout out, huge shout out to our boy Han Solo, whose name is escaping me right now. I'm trying to find it real fast.
That was him.
Yes, he was so good as just that small role with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Let me find, like, so good, and I think that just what a movie, and incredible. All Darren Reich, incredible. But yeah, I mean, nothing but good things to say about Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
But that was our 2023 list.
Yeah.
Any honorable mentions?
Oh, yeah. Just one more thing about Oppenheimer. Did you know that President Carter actually told Oppenheimer, he called Oppenheimer a wuss and was like, he's never allowed to come back in my office. I hate that guy.
Yeah, I did see that.
That's so wild.
I did love that scene
bonkers.
of Oppenheimer being like, I dropped it. He's like, no, you didn't. I did. I chose
you didn't do
bombs.
anything.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Honorable mentions for me, you already mentioned it, but TMNT, Saltburn, I loved Saltburn, Creed 3, Sanctuary, Extraction 2, The Boys in the Boat, I really loved. Theater Camp, really loved. May December I thought also was pretty great. But yeah.
Cool. Saltburn was my 11. Yeah, I agree with that. Blue Beetle, I loved it. I mean, it's not top 10 worthy, but I just really like that movie. You didn't see this, and before I get hate, I thought Leave the World Behind was captivating and really interesting. Did you see it?
No, I'm not going to
Okay,
see
then
it.
you can't talk on it. I just thought, watching it, I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. And then they just end it, and I was like, okay, this movie stinks. Nothing happened. Like, this idea is awesome. They have a cool cast, but then they didn't do anything with it. Like, they start setting up the movie with all these weird events, and then it just ends. So, kind of disappointed with that one. But, yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons, another one I want to shout out. Love D&D from this year.
You like No Hard Feelings a lot, right?
I did. So that was kind of my two. I was like Anyone But You and No Hard Feelings. I think No Hard Feelings might be the better movie, but I like Anyone But You more.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. Maybe I have to watch them again.
I had high hopes for Gran Turismo as well, and that was kind
of a bummer.
Kind of mid.
Yep. But yeah, I think that is our list 2023. You want to run through yours really fast one more time?
Sure. So counting down: Wonka, Air, Godzilla -1, Barbie, the new Hunger Games, The Holdovers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then in my top 3, I had Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse at 3, Oppenheimer at 2, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 at 1.
Nice.
Thank you.
Real fast from mine: 10, Anyone But You; 9, Hunger Games; 8, Barbie; 7, The Iron Claw; 6, Godzilla; 5, John Wick; 4, Guardians 3; 3, Mission Impossible; 2, Spider-Man; and number 1, Oppenheimer. But yeah,
Respect.
Awesome first pod, Chuck.
It's fun.
Thank you to everyone. Yeah, no, it was good. Thank you to everyone who listened. Next week, we'll be reviewing The Beekeeper. So real excited for that Jason Statham banger that we're about to see.
2024. It's going to be number 1 for at least a little bit.
It's going to sit there at number 1, I promise.
Yeah, it will.
And I think we're going to do, I think we should do a draft of Star Wars movies.
Surely. Yeah, let's do it. I got to watch this again to make sure I'm fresh.
I think we should draft some Star Wars movies because we have very different takes when it comes to Star Wars.
We do.
So we'll talk about that. Cannot wait. But yes, thank you everyone who listened to episode 1 of the Real Serious Podcast. And, have a good week at the movies.